Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our session this afternoon. The session is being recorded, so this will be available at a later time. I believe admissions will be sending out or have this information available via their website. So don't worry if you miss something or want to review it. My name is Jamie Gutierrez. I'm the Associate Director for Residence Life and First Year Experience. And in my role, I do focus mainly on that first year experience, both through orientation and the residential experience. And then I also work with student intervention and support. So students who may be struggling in their transition to the university. And I'm gonna have my colleague introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Zamora. I'm the Assistant Director for Operations here in the Office of Residence Life and First Year Experience.
Ooh, thank you, Amanda. The Q&A is open for folks. If you'd like to ask questions, we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can live. We will have a portion at the end of our presentation to address most of those questions, but if I see anything that pops up and I'm able to answer via the chat, I will do my best to do that. Okay, so here we go. All right, so what we call our first year experience here at Chapman University, we call it Fenestra. Fenestra in Latin means window. And so the philosophy behind Fenestra is we really do want new incoming students, this is both first year students and transfer students, to open their window of opportunity. The Chapman window is a symbol here on campus. And so really taking that symbolism and applying it to what we want students to gain in that first year. So as we see it here in residence life, there are really four primary components to Fenestra. The first is orientation. That's the opportunity for both students and families to participate in learning all the information and resources available to students when making that transition to university, and all the resources available throughout their entire time here at Chapman. We have living learning communities in all of our first year residential communities. Essentially, every student is placed within their college and major and with other students who are also in that college and major. So for example, if you are aspiring to be a business major, you will be roomed with other business majors on that same floor. And we try our best to make sure the resident advisor, a student staff member that oversees that floor and really helps students through that process, are also in either that major or that minor. Sometimes it doesn't always line up, but we really do our best to try and recruit students because we acknowledge that it's really important that students are really here because they're here to go to school. We also want students through Fenestra to create that academic identity. That's a part of why we do the living learning communities. And if a student comes in an exploratory major, really helping them to identify things that they're interested in, areas that they want to explore, and helping to support them through that. And then, of course, we want our Chapman students to be engaged in their community, whether that is here at Chapman or even outside in the local Orange community. So some benefits, again, a sense of academic citizenship and membership in the Chapman community. Really want students to feel that sense of belonging and feel like they're a part of our community. Of course, we always want students to make progress, significant progress to academic and career clarity. So really doing well in their classes and hopefully eventually understanding and knowing what they want to do once they leave Chapman. And then, of course, a part of the whole college experience is making sure you are making meaningful connections with peers and feeling connected to that university. Research shows that when students do feel that sense of community and belonging to an institution, they are invested and are more successful in their time during college. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about orientation. So we have here at Chapman both a student orientation program and family, and within that there are four parts. So first, it's our first year student orientation, so coming straight from high school to university. Then we have any family member that wants to participate. We have a specific first year family orientation for you all. And then transfer student orientation. and then transfer family. So transfer students or any students that may have attended university prior, whether that was community college or another four-year university, we have a specific transfer orientation for you all. These are our tentative dates for both first year and first year family, transfer student and transfer family. This is pretty consistent. I don't anticipate these dates changing. But again, I like to say tentative because you never know what might happen. Some highlighted events that we have during orientation, opening convocation. This is for first year students and their families during orientation. It's the official kickoff to the academic year. Very exciting, very meaningful and traditional event. After opening convocation, our first year families are invited to the family wine and cheese event hosted by Dr. Jerry Price, our vice president for student affairs and dean of students. Making the transition, this is for first year families, a session focused on those resources for student well-being and safety. Academic life, which focuses more so on the academic support resources here at Chapman. Each college and school hosts a welcome dinner for first year students and their families. Both transfer students and first year students have departmental major meetings. These are run and facilitated by all of the departments on campus so that students can understand the resources available to them and meet faculty, program advisors, and more often the deans also go to this. We Are Chapman is a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility program for all of our new students, both first year and transfer students. This session highlights different identities and perspectives students here have on Chapman's campus. And we have student speakers that talk about their identities and how that translates to Chapman, what their experience has been like at Chapman, and more. Candlelighting ceremony, we have this both for first year students and transfer students. A very traditional event, very meaningful. I'm sure if folks have browsed social media, you have likely seen photos of this event. And then for our transfer students, we have a session called Chapman Celebrations and Traditions, where we do stole, passing out stoles, graduation stoles, and tying the ribbon on the window of opportunity. And now I'm going to pass it on to my colleague Amanda, who's going to talk a little bit about first year communities and our amenities.
Okay. So a little bit about our first year students and where they will be living when they arrive here to campus. We do have a 2-year live-on requirement right now, which means that students who are coming directly out of high school have to live on campus with us for their first 2 years. There are certain exceptions to that, which would be anyone who lives locally within a 30-mile radius of campus, anyone who has been more than a year out of high school, or anyone who is married or has a dependent. Those are the exceptions to that rule. We do have 5 first-year buildings. We have Prawley-Sodaro, we have Henley Hall, Glass Hall, Sandu Hall, and Moreland. And first-year halls, and they're all located in the same general area. So they're all directly, like right in the same area of each other, really close to where the dining hall is located as well. Prawley and Henley are pretty much the same type building. Glass has 2 towers that are residence hall rooms, and then a center tower that has apartments. Sandu has a variety of rooms, triples, as well as suited rooms, and then Moreland are going to be double rooms, and some of those rooms are suited as well. All of our first year students should expect to be in triple rooms. The only exception to that is that we do have Moreland, which are doubles, but the rest of our buildings are tripled. So students should be expected to be in triple rooms. We do our placement, as Jamie mentioned, by Fenestra, which means school or college. That could mean that someone who, let's say, is in Crean College and you are a health science major, your roommate may be a health science major, but your roommate may also be a psychology major, since they're both in Crean College. So we house you by your school or college, but not necessarily by your major. We use on your application profile questions that students fill out, and that's how we make roommate assignments. So we look at the information that you provide in your housing application, and that's how we make the roommate assignments. When we do these, we really ask that students are honest when they fill out their housing application, because that only helps in our process of creating roommate assignments. And we also ask that students fill out the housing application and not parents, because again, we want students to be really honest, and it does help us to determine who your roommates are going to be when you come to campus. Our assignments and your roommate information must be usually sent out by mid-July. We know that a lot of students are really excited to get that information, but we need a lot of time. It's a very large process for us to do, and we want to make sure we do it correctly. So that means we need to wait until we have the numbers of students who are going to be in each admitted school or college, and then we make those assignments. So that we do ask that that you just be patient with us and just wait, and by mid-July or so is when we send that information out to everyone. And then, as Jamie also mentioned, we do have student staff support in the buildings, as well as professional staff support. So you have your resident advisors who will live on the floors with you, and these are also students typically in your same college or area of study. And they're there to provide support when it comes to, just general assistance with transitions, as well as roommate conflicts, as well as just, you are homesick and you need someone to talk to. That's what the RAs are there for. And then we also have professional staff that live in each building as well. And these are professional staff members, master level professional staff members who live in the buildings along with the students. And they're also there to provide additional support. They also meet with students for any conduct issues, but they're also there to provide additional support when it comes to if you're having a crisis of any kind and you need someone to talk to or someone to provide resources to, that's the person that you would go to in that building. Some of the amenities in our residence hall areas, we have laundry rooms that are located in each of our buildings. The laundry is free, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about carrying quarters around like I had to do when I went to college. You don't have to do that. We also have the Massoon Family Beach Club, which is a pool that's located in the residence hall area of campus. If you're coming from East Coast or Midwest and you're used to the cold weather there, that we typically don't have that around here too often. So students are really able to use that pool area for most of the year around here, which is very nice. The Randall Dining Commons, which is our dining hall, is located, as I said, right in the middle of our residence hall area. So it's really convenient to all of our first year buildings. We do have a Henley Fitness Center. So this is in the basement of our Henley Hall, and it is open to all of our students to go down there and work out. They do also have group fitness classes as well. Also outside by the Massoon Family Beach Club, we do have basketball and volleyball courts, which again, because of our weather and how nice it is, these are be able to use all year long, and students are definitely taking advantage of that. We have mail and package services. So we have two large mail and package rooms that service our residential areas, and students will receive information towards the right before move-in that provides them with their own mailing address. And they'll use that to send anything. So any packages will come directly to that package room, and students will just have to go with their ID card to pick those packages up there. And then we also have parking available here on campus as well. Students do have to register their cars, but parking is free. And we have residential parking around the residential area. We have a very large parking garage. It's called Jim Miller. It's located right in the middle of the residence hall area. There's also additional parking garages in the basement of Prawley, as well as the basement of Sandu. And then we have surface lots in our Davis area and as well as our Moreland area. So we're going to talk a little bit about the application timeline and what that looks like. So our application process for housing, we do have a $500 non-refundable housing reservation payment that needs to be submitted, as well as a housing application, in order for your housing application to be considered complete. All housing applications that are received by the filing deadline, which is May 15th, will be considered in one pool for placement. What that means is that if you are right on top of things, and as soon as that housing application opens, you submit it, you're going to be considered in the same group of placements with someone who submits it on the deadline day of May 15th. So there's no real benefit of submitting it early besides just having that done. Otherwise, we're going to take that one pool of students on May 15th, and that's what we're going to use for placement. We will continue to accept applications after that deadline. However, the closer we get to making our placements, it sometimes can become difficult to get you into your Fenestra community if you are past that deadline. Are some key dates for you all to remember. The enrollment deposit for admissions, as well as a housing reservation payment, has a May 1st deadline, and this is for first-year students specifically. We have our housing application deadline, which is different, and that is May 15th. What that does is gives you enough time to submit your housing reservation payment and still have time to submit the housing application information. And so that's why that deadline is slightly different. So that's May 15th. As I mentioned earlier, housing assignments will be released mid to late July. And our first year move-in date is going to be on Tuesday, August 20th. First year orientation begins at the end of that day and goes through the rest of that week. And so that's the end of our presentation. We will be taking questions right now, but we do want you to have our contact information here. So this is how you can get in touch with our office. This is our main office phone number, as well as our email address and our website. And you can also follow us on social media as well. We provide a lot of updates there. But that's the end of our presentation, and we can start taking some questions.
I know I've answered a lot via the chat already, but again, if you have any, please go ahead and pop them in. I can address this first one that I see. So is move-in day staggered by incoming freshman / name? So it is staggered. However, it's staggered by floor by building. So each of our building managers will send out a memo prior to the start of move-in that gives students their specific move-in time. And we do this because it really does help the flow of traffic. So we really ask that when students do receive that, to stick to that time, because if you try and come earlier, we'll have a traffic jam and all that fun stuff, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. Our elevators also get a lot of use during that time in our buildings. Some of them are a little on the older side. So we're wanting to keep those elevators intact all day to make sure people can get to their floors. I'm going to have my colleague Amanda answer this next question. So what are the housing options for transfer students that start in January?
So
January 24.
January 24. We have our spring and interterm housing application that will open next week for students who are spring admits or students who are incoming transfer students for the spring. So that information should be available on our website starting next week.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, and transfers are, we house transfers based on available spaces that we have in our continuing student community. So transfers are not placed with first year students. We place them with our sophomores, juniors, and seniors in our continuing student communities.
Thank you, Amanda. This next question is, what's the earliest time we can come on the 20th to move in? Again, we want students to stick to that time that they receive from their building manager. I do think the earliest time this year we had was 8 a.m. And we usually do that by room. So all roommates should get that same time. So one roommate isn't coming super early, one's not coming super late. But again, you get that specific time from your building manager. Our next question, Amanda, if you want to take this one, any shuttle services to airports for students who live out of state?
Oh, we do not have any shuttle service. However, now that there's Uber and Lyft, most students will do those things, or as well as once you're here and you have roommates who have cars, use your roommates to provide rides back and forth to the airport. John Wayne Airport, if you're looking for an airport to fly into, is about 20 minutes from here, if that. So it's very convenient. Anything other than that's going to be a little bit further away, but you can still do Ubers or Lyfts to the airport.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, next question I'm actually going to have you answer. Can you have if you have an ESA, an emotional support animal?
Yes. So students are allowed to have ESAs as long as they are approved, and there is a process for that. If you do have an ESA that has been approved, you will have a roommate. That's an ESA is not a reason why we would provide a single to a student. So we are asking questions on the application now just to gauge people's comfortability with living with an animal. So you'll see that in your housing application as well.
I have a question in here about the family orientation dates. I'm just going to go back to that slide real fast in case folks are wondering what I'm doing. There they are. Okay, this next question, what is off campus like? Is there stuff to do? Yes, actually. So, Chapman University, our Orange campus is very close to what we call the Orange Plaza. And in the Orange Plaza, there are a ton of restaurants, far more than were 15 years ago. Actually was a Chapman student, and I always am astonished by what the Orange Plaza now looks like. Lots of fun restaurants, walking distance, little shopping like opportunities, a juice bar, yeah, name it, it's there. So walkable, very nice. There's actually even a Subway really close to campus for students, a Chipotle. So there are lots of things. The beach and Disneyland are a little further. You do need to take some sort of transportation to go to both of those places, and totally doable. I think a lot of students who don't bring cars to campus end up finding other people and friends who do have cars and are able to take advantage of the local opportunities, such as the beach or Disneyland, or even going to the mountains. Okay, question here is, which dorm is closest to Dodge? So our closest residential facility to Dodge is actually the K, and that is only a continuing student community. All of our first year communities are kind of bunched together in like one little spot. So any first year student is going to have a little bit of walk to Dodge or a bike ride. It's totally doable. Students do it all the time. Just make sure you leave in enough time to get to class. Let's see here. I'm going to have Amanda ask this question. Is there any chance to get one roommate and not two roommates in just one room?
So the answer to that is that students should should expect to be in triples. If by chance you are placed in Moreland, that's how you would just have two people. But because our Fenestra communities change every year, it's hard to say which Fenestra community will go into Moreland. We also do have a disability accommodation process for housing. So if there's a medical need while a student needs to have a reduced occupancy room or a single, then we would get that paperwork from your physician, and our committee would evaluate that. And if that was a need, then we would place you accordingly.
Thank you, Amanda. Our next question, a layout of the triple rooms. Is there a bathroom in the suite, or is it communal bathrooms? I can take this one. So our layouts vary per area. However, only suited bathrooms, which means that there's more than 3 people or 2 people sharing, are in Northmoreland and probably Sodaro. We don't have communal restrooms or bathrooms here at Chapman, so you don't need to take your little tray and walk down the hall to go take a shower, brush your teeth. All of our bathrooms are in student rooms. In Prawley, you'll have essentially a room, and then the suited bathroom in between. Again, because we are tripled in Prawley, those are looking at 6 people to a bathroom. I know 6 people sounds like a lot, but totally doable. Students at Chapman have been doing it for a very long time. And then in Northmoreland, because Moreland is double occupancy, it would be room, and then again, suited bathroom. And again, that's only 4 people sharing that restroom. So other ones are just one room in the bathroom, so 3 people at most, aside from those suited ones in Prawley. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, Amanda,
Yeah.
is there a fridge or freezer and microwave in each room?
That's not something that we provide. However, we partner with a company that provides micro fridge rentals for students. And if you rent with them, what happens is that they bring it to campus prior to move-in, so it's in your room when you arrive. We do allow mini fridges, no more than 4 cubic feet, but the only microwave that is allowed is the one that's part of that micro fridge unit. And the reason being is that operates that when the microwave's in use, it cuts the power to the refrigerator so that we don't overload the circuits. So that's why that's the only microwave that we allow, but you are able to bring your own mini fridge if you'd like to. Again, no more than 4 cubic feet.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, we have another question about first year students. If they want to live off campus their first year and find an apartment within a 30-mile radius, can they do that?
Unfortunately, no. So the requirement is that you live on campus unless you're living with a family member within that 30-mile radius, or unless your home address is within that 30-mile radius. Other than that, you're required to live on campus.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, I see a question about common rooms and study lounges. So yes, all of our areas do have study lounges, common areas for students to be active in. Most of them are on that floor. So you'll walk in a hall and then there's a common area or a lounge area. Moreland is that exception. There are some common areas, but I don't know students use those as often. They use the Moreland Lounge, which is central to the building. A lot of students in there, a lot very active. In Sandu, we actually have quite a few study rooms. We even have a little dance, like a dance room that students can use there, that I know a lot of our COPA students use. So if you're a COPA student, maybe a dance major, I do hear that our students take advantage of that a lot. We also have a bookable space in Henley Hall for students to utilize and access. It's called the John Biggs Conference Room. We actually see a lot of student clubs utilizing that space. And then we also actually have some music practice rooms in Henley as well. So there's a piano, keyboard, and I often hear students practicing clarinets, trombones. So there's 2 of those down there. Okay, let's see. I'm going to answer this question again because I saw it pop up again. But is there access to a shared kitchen to cook your own food? So we do have one communal kitchen here on campus. It is in Moreland. It is a little on the small side, and students can request to use that with our office. So they'll be given a key to gain access to that if they do want to cook. I often see or hear students wanting to bake in there. So that's something that I hear often, but yes. Let's see. Amanda, would you like to take this one? Is housing generally co-ed or separated by floor?
So co-ed means that you would be in the same building with students that are of different assigned gender. So it's not, you could have a room of female assigned students, and then right next door would be a room for male. So it's not, we don't separate by the floor or by building. It's really by room.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, let me see. Okay, we have a question here about our full-time staff, master's degrees and counselors. Not all of them. I don't think any of our current resident directors or area coordinators are have counseling degrees. Most of it is a master's of arts in student affairs, student support development. My master's is in leadership development. We have a variety of folks in their area of study here, but I don't know that I've seen a counselor in a while. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, how early is the process? Do we find out roommates? Amanda, you want to take this?
So again, roommates will not be sent out until mid-July. The reason being is that we have to wait for all of our applications to come in, and we have to wait to see what our numbers look like in terms of how many students are per area of study. And then from there, we have to break that down into buildings and where they'll fit. So it's quite a process to get to the point for us to actually assign, which is why it takes some time from the time that you finish your application until the time you hear from us. So it's mid to late July is when we typically send that information out.
Okay, question here, where did it go? Over here. Are suite style rooms separated by gender or mixed? So they are separated by gender. We do have gender diverse housing, which is an opportunity for students to house in a inclusive area in order to help with their experience. So if students are wanting gender diverse housing, that you want to put that on your application. I do know that we are working for this year to kind of button up some processes and procedures when it comes to gender diverse housing. So hopefully that'll be more seamless this upcoming year. Let's see. Okay, we have a spring 24 applicant asking if they'd move into their hall before orientation starts. Yes, so spring 24 orientation, forgive me, I don't know the date off the top of my head right now, but it is that Wednesday prior to the start of spring classes starting. So move in for any students coming for orientation will be that Tuesday. Last year we did 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then orientation check-in was from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm pretty sure we're still going to have those time models, but again, you'll receive specific information from us on what that's going to look like. Let's see. Okay, another question about bathrooms. How many showers, toilets, and sinks? So in the Prawley Suited, there are two sinks, so that's for the 6-person space, and 1 toilet and 1 shower. In Northmoreland with our 4 students, Moreland's actually pretty cool. The vanity and the sink aren't in the bathroom. The vanity and the sink are in the room. So the only thing in the bathroom is the shower, 1 shower and 1 toilet. So if you need to brush your teeth and someone's using the restroom, you don't have to wait. You can just go to your little vanity in your room and take care of that. Okay, let's see. I answered this live, done. Oh, is there an orientation date for transfer students for the upcoming spring semester? Again, it's the Wednesday before the start of the spring semester. We'll actually have some programming on Thursday and Friday as well, and into the weekend for students to participate in. Most of the weekend programming will be more social in nature, so really trying to connect with other incoming spring students and current Chapman students. It looks like we have some questions again, Amanda, about how to get an ESA approval. So maybe just chat a little bit about that process.
Yeah. If you go to our main website, so if you go to the main Chapman website and then type in housing, you're going to look for an area that says forms and resources, and on there will be a link for the ESA application. It's a pretty lengthy document because having an ESA is quite a big responsibility for students. You just want to make sure that they understand what that looks like. And there'll also be a space for them to take that information to whatever physician they're working with that will sign off on them needing an ESA in their room. And then that information gets sent into our office and forwarded to our disability services committee that'll take a look and then provide a response.
This next question, I'm seeing a couple questions here about guests, having friends visit, having family visit. Yes, all students are more than welcome to have guests visit them. We do have a guest policy in our student conduct code. So students just need to make sure that they register those guests, especially if they're staying overnight. It's just so that we know who's here in case of an emergency. They'll want to register their guests. And of course, their guests must be with them really at all times because they are responsible for that guest. There really is no like specific date or time where people can visit. As long as you're with your guest, it's not a problem. We do have an overnight like cap. I want to say it's at most 3 nights. I'd have to double check that. And it's very important that if students are going to bring an overnight guest, that they have that conversation with their roommates. You wouldn't want to find yourself in a position where you just bring an overnight guest and you didn't talk to anyone prior to doing that. Could probably lead into some conflict. Okay, we're getting lots of questions I think I see about room layouts and other amenities. That's all on our Chapman website. If you go to our housing page, you can look at all of the first year and continuing student areas if you'd like to take a look at that. Talks about amenities, different room layouts, how many people per room, all of that jazz. So just go ahead and check out the website and you'll be able to find that there. So we have a question about, I think, desks. It disappeared. But we can answer that. Friend, would you like to answer if we have desks in our rooms?
Yes, all first year buildings, all first year rooms, students are provided desks.
Okay, I see a question about the rock wall. So we don't manage the rock wall here in Residence Life. That is our colleagues over in student engagement, specifically wellness and recreation. I do know that students use that. We actually have students that work the rock wall, so they're there to help students if they want to participate. I'm not entirely sure what those hours look like, but again, you could probably find those on the Chapman website. Let's see. What activities are here on campus? So Chapman is a very bustling campus. There are lots of things to do. We have a group on campus called the University Program Board. It is student run and facilitated, and they plan a lot of large scale events on campus. They do what they call a fall concert. So generally they like to get artists to come and perform. They also have speakers that come to campus. They'll do little weekend trips. I think I saw one recently for the Griffith Observatory. So they're really trying to plan as many events as possible for students to engage in. We in Residence Life also have different programming opportunities for students to get involved in. Most of those are facilitated by resident advisors, so really trying to learn about people on your floor, get to know them, and really connect. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion office does a lot of programming around diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. The Cross-Cultural Center, which is a part of DEI, they host a lot of events. I know we had a Dia de los Muertos program just, I think it was yesterday, or no, 2 days ago, getting my dates mixed up. So lots of things. The colleges of the academic colleges, they'll have special speakers. I know Dodge does a lot of master classes, what they call. So yeah, there are lots of things to do on Chapman's campus. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a good question. What is the best part about rooming at Chapman for freshmen? And is there something students tend to be surprised from their experience? Friend, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Gosh, I think the best part about living on campus is just having that connection with your peers who are in the same situation that you are. So you're coming to college for the first time, you don't know anyone, they're in the same position. So you're all kind of dealing with it at the same time. What I really liked, my roommates and I probably would never have talked with them outside of being roommates with them, but we found a way to really work together in that room. And it was a really good experience because it exposed me to a lot of different people that I would not have met just in high school in general. So I think I think what they're surprised by is that how quickly they find those bonds and create those connections. And a lot of those connections will last a long time. So from college and even beyond that. So I think being really open to the differences that you might find. Your roommates might not be your best friends, and that's okay. But being open to the fact that they might be different from you and that you might be able to learn something from their experience and their backgrounds that you might not ever have been exposed to in the past.
Thank you. Another question for you, friend. Do student athletes room with their teammates?
We do not prioritize athletes to live with each other. However, if through Fenestra, if they're in the same studying in the same area of study and they just happen to be placed together, that does sometimes happen, but we do not prioritize athletes to be roommates with each other.
Thank you. Let's see. I see a couple questions about Greek life, or what we also call fraternity and sorority life. I can answer that to the best of my ability. Yes, we have fraternities and sororities that students can either rush for the fraternities or go through recruitment for the sororities. The fraternities rush in both fall and spring for for first year students. And then sororities recruit in the spring. So prior to the start of the spring semester. And that is when first year students can participate in sorority recruitment. I think I touched both of those questions that I think I saw. Oh, this is a good question. Oh, Amanda's typing an answer, so I will answer that one live. Okay. This next question is, what is Welcome Week like? Okay. So again, Welcome Week is facilitated by our university program board. That actually happens after orientation week. I think a lot of students at other institutions may connect both Welcome Week and orientation, but here at Chapman, they're separate. So orientation, still a lot of fun activities that students are getting involved in, but there's also those informational activities that we're providing so that you can understand the resources at Chapman. And then Welcome Week is just a series of exciting events that students can participate in. And so that happens, I think, traditionally the first week of classes. Let's see. I have some questions about the noise policy in our halls. We do have quiet and courtesy hours. Monday through Thursday, they are 10 p.m. Until the following morning. I think it's 8 a.m. Don't quote me. They start at 10. And then on the weekends, they start at 12 a.m. So that's for the entire community, just being respectful of our neighbors. Really, this other question, it looks like alarms are asking if alarms are acceptable. Of course they are. And I think you need to kind of talk through your roommate. Sometimes if you're a heavy sleeper and you have 10 alarms going off and your roommate's not a heavy sleeper, they may ask you if you can maybe not have 10 alarms go off, maybe have 5 alarms go off. So really thinking about how that's going to impact your roommates as well, because we do see things like that come up when we see roommate conflicts. We have another question about resources for students who might be homesick and to make the adjustment more comfortable. Yes, we have a lot of resources. I think our resident advisors serve as resources for students when they are feeling homesick. Our professional staff serve as resources. I've actually met with a couple of students this semester who were very homesick. And so just talking through that with them and what that's like, and what opportunities they can take advantage here at Chapman. And then of course, if it's going in the area of maybe some mental health or wellness, we do have student psychological services that I know have supported a lot of students through feelings of homesickness. So lots of ways to get students connected if they need additional support. Okay. Oh, we have some questions about meal plans, friend.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there more than one cafeteria? Variety of meal plans? And is there opportunity to change the plan?
Yeah. So we have one dining hall that you can use your meal swipes. There are 4 different meal plans that you can choose from, and you'll be able to do that in your housing application. So there is the 10 meal plan, the 12, the 14, and the 19, and those are meals per week. So each Friday, your meal plan resets. So that means that every Friday you get another 10 meals. If you don't use all 10, let's say, in that week, they do not roll over. So every week you're going to get another 10. And that happens every week. Same thing with any of the meal plan, 12, 14, 19. All the meal plans are the same price. The difference is with the meal plan is that the meal plans will come with a specific number of meal swipes, like the 10, and then a certain amount of Panther Bucks. Panther Bucks can be used like cash, and you can use the Panther Bucks in any of our retail dining establishments on campus. So we have Starbucks, we have Jamba Juice, we have Einstein, we have Qdoba, and some smaller ones that you can swipe your card there and use it like cash. So those are your Panther Bucks. So the difference in the meal plans is that, some meal plans have more meal swipes and less Panther Bucks, and some have less meal swipes and more Panther Bucks. So it just really depends. Within the first 3 weeks of the semester, a student can make a change to their meal plan. So they just need to let us know that they want to change that meal plan, and we can make that change for them. After that, we cannot change meal plans. So once that 3-week mark is hit, whatever you have stays until the next semester. So each semester you can make that change. We ask that students, you're going to pick one in your application. We ask that you get to campus and try that one and see how that works with your schedule before you make any changes to that, because you need to be here. You need to go to class and see when you can fit in meals to see how that meal plan works for you before you make a change to that. So we just ask that you just hold off on making those changes until you get here and can actually use your meal plan. And then once you use it for a few days and you can see how that works for you, you can make a change to that. But again, you do have 3 weeks into the semester to make those changes.
We have another question. Oh, where did it go? Oh, lots of questions about the times of the dining hall. Again, you can find that on the Chapman website. I don't know those off the top of my head, unfortunately. I think, yeah, I don't know them off the top of my head. We do have one late night. I see questions about some late night eateries. Late night eatery, I think it's still in operation, and it's called, I'm blanking on what it's called, but again, that should be on the Chapman website, where Sodexo, which is our meal partner, has that information there. Let's see. I saw another question here. And I think I may have lost it. I think I did. Okay. Are there any school-led internships available or jobs in general being available? Anything like school specific related to internships would be a better question for the overseeing college or department. I think through conversations I have with students, I do hear a lot of them seeking out internship opportunities, some of them for credit. So it sounds like that happens across, I don't want to say across the board, but happens. And then, yes, we have a lot of on-campus jobs available to students. We actually employ a lot of students. We call them our office assistants. They help answer phones, and they do lockout codes. Yeah, we have lots of on-campus jobs here at Chapman in a variety of different departments. This one is, are there a lot of vegetarian options in the CAF or dining hall? Sorry, the CAF is what our students call the dining hall. Yes, I think there are a lot of options available to students. Our dining facility is really amazing, in my personal opinion. We have a variety of stations that students can choose from. The menu changes daily. We have a salad bar, we have a little sushi station, we have a burger station, lots and lots of options for students. And if students are concerned about any dietary restrictions or allergies, they can connect directly with, again, Sodexo and work with the chef to figure out how to best accommodate those needs. So I always encourage students, if you have a dietary restriction or an allergy, to really connect with the team over there so that they know how they can support you in that. Okay. We have a question, friend. Will all roommates be first-year students or freshmen together?
So yes, if you are a first-year student, you will also live with first-year students. If you are coming in as a transfer student, you typically would live with students who are sophomores, juniors, or seniors. But first-year students will live with other first-year students.
Thank you. We do have a question here about if 10 meals a week is enough. Friend, would you like to take this question?
So that's just an example. There's the 10, there's the 12, there's the 14, and there's the 19. So it really just depends on what students are comfortable with. I will say that the majority of our students are on the 10. They prefer that because that gives them a lot more Panther bucks. And a lot of students have that preference to use their Panther bucks to go to Starbucks or to go to Jamba Juice or Einstein or one of those, since they're on campus already, instead of coming back. But it's really a preference for the student. There's a lot of students that are on the 19 and are perfectly happy with that. So it just really depends on what works best for your schedule.
Another question for you, friend. Do rooms have heating for colder months? And while we're on heating topic, maybe air conditioning as well?
Yes, they do. They have both of those things. Some rooms, depending on which building you're in, will have individual units within your room. Some are on a building-wide system, and that really just kind of depends on what the temperature is like outside. And that's how it's regulated. But there are also some fans within your room that you can control to make it warmer or colder, depending on which building you're in.
Okay, I'm gonna do both of these questions at the same time. So asking about where second year students live, and then if all first year students will live in a triple. So our second year students or continuing students, so sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they live in different communities. So where you live your first year isn't going to be where you're going to live your second year. Our second year living options are Davis and Harris apartments, our Glass Hall apartments, the K apartments, Chapman Grand, which is located in the city of Anaheim, about a 15-minute drive from Chapman, Panther Village, which is also located in the city of Anaheim. That one is a little closer than Chapman Grand. I'd say maybe about a 10 to 12 on a good day, 10 on a good day. And then we do have a new apartment community opening in the fall of 2024. So those will be available to our current first year students to select into if it is available at that time of selection, called Chapman Court. That is also in Anaheim, pretty close to Chapman Grand. So I'd say about a 15-minute ride. And then, yes, if you are a first year student, you can expect that you will be living in a triple. Our only community that is not tripled is Northmoreland. So your probability of being in a triple is pretty high. Amanda, will students get a list of recommended items to bring to their room?
Yes, it's actually on our website already. There's a section on our website called Moving In, and it should have a list of that. But yes, once we get closer to that time, you'll be able to see that list. And I think it's sent out in one of our communications out to students after assignments are sent out.
Perfect. Okay. It is 3:55. So I want to be mindful of people's time. I know there were some very specific questions that people had in our Q&A that we did not get to, or if someone answered on the back end, love it, awesome, great. But if not, again, you can contact our office. I'm going back to our contacts. Email, phone call, we'll be able to get that answer for you. But other than that, if there's nothing else, thank you everyone for coming to our session today. I'm going to do a shameless plug. On November 16th, I'm facilitating a panel with one of our assistant directors, Omar Zuayed, with some of our students about what it's like from their perspective to live on campus. So if you're available for that, we would love to have you there as well. Thanks. Bye.